Hello, everyone. I want to let you know today comparison is a killer. Stick around. Let's have an open conversation about comparison and leadership. Hey, everyone. Thanks for sticking around and watching another video here with Everyday Bishop. I want to talk to you a little bit today about leadership, or really just kind of life in general. I think it's applicable to anyone on comparing yourself to others, whether you're talking about life or ministry or leadership or your health, really anything or any area. It is not wise to compare yourself to others. It's unwise, it's unhealthy, and really, I don't believe it is biblical. When you look in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 12 in the ESV, it reads, not that we dare to classify or compare ourselves with some of those who are commending themselves, but when they measure themselves by one another and compare themselves with one another, they are without understanding. But I think maybe Galatians chapter 6, verses 3 through 5 is a little bit more plain. There it states, for if anyone thinks he is something when he is nothing, he deceives himself. But let each one test his own work, and then his reason to boast will be in himself alone and not in his neighbor, for each will have to bear his own load. The world that we live in today, the world of social media, is largely comparison. We compare views, followers, reach, impact, influence that we have. And the problem is that this is comparison in very unhealthy ways. You don't know the story of people that you watch. You don't know their calling, the work that they've done. You're only seeing a finished product. You don't even know their education or really anything about them other than what they show you. And I can about tell you for a fact that what is shown is not always the whole story. In fact, it is almost never the whole story. The whole story is often a complex web of life that has brought someone to a certain point. Mine is no exception, neither is yours. But we all fall into this trap on occasion of comparison. I am equally guilty, I believe, with everyone else. But the best comparison you can do is in the mirror. Are you looking at a reflection of a person who is sincerely trying to be what God has called you to be? You see, that's really the most important thing that you can do, is not be like another minister, not be like someone else that you see on Facebook or TikTok or YouTube, not even to be like someone else at your work. Now, I do understand that Paul said to follow him as he follows Christ. I'm talking about an emulation or an aspiration to try to be something that God has not created you to be. I'll take a look at myself and I'll talk a little bit about some of the comparison that I do sometimes wrongly. It is wrong. I wonder sometimes why maybe someone else has been able to do so much traveling or been able to go so many places. And that is a terrible comparison. I don't know their calling. I don't know what their education is, what the sacrifice is to do that. I do know what the sacrifice is to me, and I've traveled some, not as much as others. But then there's also this other comparison. We look at someone else, and I'm guilty. I've done it myself. We look at others and we're like, why are they not doing more? And the truth is in both cases, I don't know what God has equipped them to do. I don't know what their skill set is, and so many other variables that are in there that we just simply don't know. The only invariable in everything is the blood of Christ is the only way to heaven. Beyond that, we need to cut the comparisons, and we just need to live how God has called us to live for Him and do the very best that we can with what He has given to us. Because what He has given to me is not what He has given to you. He may expect more or less out of you based on what He has given you. I believe that's biblical. But we look at things like that. I'm getting ready to be able to go minister in my third country, not counting the United States. And on this journey, I will transit through or be in a total of three nations, one just stopping at an airport, one transiting through, switching flights at an airport, and then, of course, ministering in Togo, which will be added to being able to minister in Zambia and Pakistan, both of which were a tremendous blessing to me, and I pray it was to those people as well. But like I said, sometimes I get a little jealousy, I guess you would call it, and wondering why it's not more. Other times, I'm more than ecstatic with exactly what I've been able to do, and at other times, I look at people and I'm wondering why are they not doing more. So it's a comparison is a trap. I've done what God has called me to do. I pray that you have done the same. In pastoral ministry, I do pastor. It's probably even worse than looking at what someone else has been able to do. We start looking at size of churches, the way they run programs, and things like that. And friend, let me tell you, the church that I pastor is entirely different from the church that you pastor, not just in geographics, but in demographics and history and your chemistry within that church. Now, we look at we may want to look at bigger churches and we want to emulate their programs. We wonder how they got to where they are. How do they run 2,000 people where there's probably a concentration of people in the area. There's a different mindset in the area than where you're at. They may not have as many churches sitting around as maybe what you have. Certain areas have a higher concentration of churches. There are just so many factors that go in. It may be that they had worked for 15 to 20 years in a church, and all you're seeing is the final spurt of growth that is a culmination of 15 or 20 years of hard work, and you've been in your place for 2, 3, 4 years, and you're wondering why you're not seeing the impact. Well, you've not been there long enough. Or maybe there is a history of why that church is hesitant to do something. But we get into this comparison of size of churches, and we don't understand the area, the demographics, the history, and all of these things. It could be issues of property or personalities within the church. So many different things we just don't know. And we look at final products and we either cast blame or envy instead of just being content that God has indeed called us to what I consider to be one of the highest callings in ministry, in pastoral ministry, and being content to take care of the people that He has placed in our care. We don't understand the opportunities people have because of things like that. We don't understand the positions that they're in is typically a result of years and years of hard work. We just do comparison. But you could even carry that over into a secular thing. And I can tell you from personal experience again, that being jealous and envious of other things and other people creates an unhealthy hunger and will create unhealthy habits in you, trying to attain something that you really have no need to aspire to, certain automobiles or living in a certain kind of house or these other things, jealousy, envy, all of those things are not good fruits to exhibit. In fact, they're not biblical. And comparison, when you start doing comparisons of yourself to others, that is a killer. Now, comparison, done the right way, comparing you to where God has called you to be, are you measuring up to the standard He has set, is a very healthy thing that we need to do day to day. But comparison, doing a comparison to others, comparing yourself to someone else is a thief of joy, peace, and contentment. In other words, comparison is of the enemy. The devil comes but to steal, kill, and to destroy. When you start comparing your work to other people on earth, to other persons, instead of to what God has called you to be, it will steal and kill and destroy what is inside of you. I would leave you with this today. Be who God made you to be. Not what the world has told you to become, not what comparing yourself to the snapshot that someone else has put on social media has told you need to become, but rather sit down and search the depths of your soul, what God has called you to be. And are you measuring up to that standard? In other words, look at yourself in the mirror and let that be your comparison. Let the reflection that you see be what God has called you to be. Now, I pray that you would strive for that each day with passion. That is all we can do. We can strive to be who God has made us to be, pastor who God has called us to pastor, walk the path that He has called us to walk, fulfill the roles that He has called us to fulfill. Do it with passion. Do it with joy. Don't let comparison be a killer in your life. Have a blessed day.